You to photograph or ronnixphotography, and this tutorial I'll be showing how you can easily retouch photos as a beginner in Photoshop. And if at all you find the video helpful, simply like this video, because when you like the video it helps you to push and comment this video to many people out there. Simply like this video. So if at all you want to follow along, simply check the links in the description so that you can download the sample photos and you can simply follow along as we are learning how to edit and retouch using frequency separation in Photoshop. So for beginners, frequency separation is a skin retouching technique that is going to divide the image into the colors and the textures. In the colors, we are going to be dealing with skin tones, and in textures, we're going to be dealing with the skin details or skin imperfections regarding the details in the photos. So what we want to do in this case, before we can even proceed, always make sure to have imported the image into Photoshop. So in order to import the image into Photoshop, you can right click on the photo that you want to edit and simply right click and select edit with Photoshop, or you can simply drag and drop it into Photoshop to open the image into Photoshop. So right now we just want to edit this very image. I'm just going to come right here and create a copy from the background layer by pressing Ctrl J twice, to create these two layers. Like I said, rename that layer to low frequency, or you can name it to the color layer, and the up layer is going to be the high frequency layer, or you can name it the textures. So I'm just going to come and hide the high frequency layer and select the low frequency layer. Like I said, in the low frequency layer, we only want to remain with the colors or skin tones. So we're going to come right here to filter, blur, and come down to Gaussian blur right there, and take the radius all the way down to 0.1. Then start gradually taking up the slider as you're looking at the details or skin details in the image. So left click and drag as you're releasing the left click button, just like that, to see the effect in real time. So just take up the radius up to a point where I'm just starting to lose out on the skin details in this very image. So you have to stop at the point whereby you're just starting to lose out on the skin details or skin textures in this very case. So stop at that point. So you don't have to cram this radius, because your images may be having different levels of skin details or skin textures. So mine at around 7, that is when I'm just starting to lose out on the skin details in this very image. So I'll just stop just right there. So this is the most important step when it comes to editing photos using frequency separation. And if at all you misuse this very step, it means that the results you're going to be getting at the end of the retouching or editing process are not going to be nice at the end of the video or the process. So just come and hit OK, and you can see that this makes the image look blurry. So just come to the high frequency layer right here and simply activate it by clicking on this eye icon and come to the layer, and now make sure it is selected. So for the high frequency layer, we only want to remain with the textures. So just come right here to image and come to apply image. So when you come to apply image, the source is going to be the name of the photo we are editing. You can see a source right here. It is basically the name of the image we are editing. Then the layer from which you are going to extract the textures is going to be the low frequency layer. So make sure you select the low frequency layer. Make sure the channel is set to RGB right here. Make sure RGB is selected. Then also, this is the most important step when it comes to editing photos, also using frequency separation, because if at all you misuse this first step, it means that you are not going to be getting the perfect results, or you're going to be having issues regarding skin retouching and frequency separation in general. So just come, if at all you have 8-bit right here, you can see on the image information. If at all you have 8, it means your image is going to be 8-bit. And if at all you have 16, it means the image is going to be 16-bit. So for my case, what I'm going to do, I'll just come, mine is 16-bit. So for 16-bit image, the blending has to be add, then the scale has to be 2. So just type in 2 and offset 0. Make sure opacity is 100%, and make sure preserve transparency and mask cannot check. Then you come and make sure the preview option is turned on right here to see the effect in real time. And just come and turn on the invert option, and you can see the textures are on this gray like kind of layer which is lacking colors. Then If at all you're working with an 8-bit image, simply use a blend mode of subtract. The scale has to be 2 and offset 128, opaque at 100%, preserve transparency and mask are not checked, and make sure the invert option is not turned on, and you'll have the same results like I had for my 16-bit settings. So since mine is 16-bit, I'll just revert to 16-bit settings and hit OK. So you can see that this layer is containing textures and it is lacking colors, but we just want to hide this effect for the meantime so that we can see the image brought back in real time. So just come to the blend mode and change it from normal and change it all the way down to linear light. And you can see that we have the information back in the image. So linear light has basically hidden the gray effect from affecting the image, but this layer is still containing the textures, as I'll show you later on in this tutorial. So if at all you are having actions and you want Photoshop to automatically create for you these layers, this is what you have to do. So I'll just delete this. Don't mind about this. I'll just delete the layers. So if at all you have the actions and you want to use them in Photoshop, simply come to window and make sure you have selected actions. So in order to open or load actions into Photoshop, simply left click on this burger icon and you can simply come and load actions to your Photoshop. So you can just come and click on load actions to import the actions into Photoshop, or you can simply double click on the actions after unzipping them. And I have actions for sale, and if at all you want to purchase my actions to help you edit and retouch faster, simply check the links in the description of this video to check out my digital store. So if at all you have imported the actions rather into Photoshop, simply select the action that corresponds with the bit depth of the image. And in order to understand the bit depth of the photo that you're editing, simply come to image mode and you can see the checked option is going to be the bit depth of the image. So mine is 16-bit. So I'll just come and select the action and simply play. And you can see it stops at the point when you have to determine or put in the Gaussian blur radius. So initially mine was 7. So I just type in 7 and hit OK. And you can see it automatically creates these frequency separation layers for you. So I'll just delete this and also delete this. So basically actions are going to be shortcuts to help you edit faster or retouch faster in Photoshop. So this is where we basically had stopped when we are trying to edit or create the frequency separation layers for those that didn't have actions. So next thing is going to be editing and retouching the photos. So in order to edit the photos in Photoshop, simply come or to retouch the skin, you come and hide the high frequency layer right here. And after hiding it, select the low frequency layer. And with the low frequency layer selected, simply come and get the brush tool or the mixer brush tool. So come under the brushes and locate the mixer brush tool. And if at all the mixer brush tool is not showing or located under the brush options, simply right click here and locate the mixer brush tool. So for whichever tool that you select within Photoshop, the options or the settings for that tool are going to always display on top right here. So just come and make sure the hardness is set to 0 and soft round brush is selected. Then also make sure clean brush is selected because we want Photoshop to automatically clean the brush for us as we're trying to deal or work with different colors in this very image. Then make sure the option that says clean the brush after each and every stroke is selected, because in this case we're just basically commanding Photoshop to automatically clean the brush as we're trying to edit or retouch different areas of the skin, and we don't want the brush to carry color from one area to another. The weight we're going to be using is 9%, with the load of 75%, mix of 90%, and the flow of 100%. You're basically going to make sure sample all layers is not turned on, because when you leave this sample all layers option turned on, and for example accidentally leave this on and you try painting on the skin, you can see it paints back textures in the selected layer, which is the low frequency layer, because you have commanded Photoshop to sample information from all the colors right here in the layer option and paint them in the selected layer, which we don't want. So make sure sample all layers is not turned on and hide the high frequency layer. The reason for hiding the high frequency layer is because we don't want to be distracted by different textures that are part of the image. So in order to apply this or to use the mixer brush tool, you left click and hold down and you drag the brush in the direction of how a given area is shaped. So just left click and hold down and you paint just like that. And how to paint on the skin, you have to follow how a given area is shaped, because you just want to keep and maintain the original shape of the model's face, and you don't want to distort or destroy how the model's face is shaped in that case. So I'll just come and paint just like that. And basically, if at all the Mr. Brush tool is showing a plus icon, press the caps lock key on the keyboard, and you, as you're editing using this very step, always make sure that you don't zoom all the way in, because when you zoom all the way in, it means you won't be seeing the uneven skin tone transitions within the image. So make sure you retouch at the distance, and in this way you can see the uneven skin tone transitions within the image. So how I'm doing this, I'm basically left click and painting and mixing colors that are looking alike to harmonize them and create a nice transition between or amongst those colors. Just like that, paint just like that. Then to increase or decrease on the size of the brush, you can use the open and close brackets on the keyboard. So using a smaller brush is going to help you have control and not spill over colors from one area to another. So I'm just going to be doing this and painting just like that. Come to this area and mixing the colors. And where these colors are transitioning from one color to another, reduce on the size and just mix that bordering area. Just like that. Create that nice harmony or transition amongst those colors. So I'm mixing just like that. So you'll mix, you left click and hold down and mix a given area, then you release the left click button and you mix another area just like that to blend the skin better in your photos. So that is how you can use the Mr. Brush tool and get the best results. You can see that image is looking a little bit plastic as we are using this very step for the Mr. Brush tool, but don't mind about that. The reason for it looking plastic is because we have hidden or turned off the textures in this very image. So when you come back and turn on the textures in this, or the texture layer in this image, you can see before, after, before, after. Let me zoom in. So this is the image before, after, before, after. The textures are still left intact within this very photo. So just hide this and continue working or blending the transitions within the skin tones to create that kind of harmony within the transitions within the skin tone of the subject. So I'm just going to mix. Make sure you also blend the hands, because you don't want to retouch and maybe you forget the fingers or the hands. So blend every area that has skin, and you can see this does the magic. The Mr. Brush tool is really powerful, and always practice if at all you want to master how to use the Mr. Brush tool. So I'm just going to mix and blend these areas, and you can see this creates perfection or perfect results. So just come and turn this on and see a progress. So this is the before, after, before, after. The skin textures or the details are still left intact within this very image, and now we are not having a plastic image, and the results are looking a little bit natural. So this is a before, after, before, after. So after using the Mr. Brush tool, we just want to perfect the areas we may have missed out as we are trying to edit using the Mr. Brush tool. So just come and turn on the high frequency layer and leave it turned on. Come and get the lasso tool. Make sure the new selection mode is active right here. Make sure the feathering is 22 pixels, because we want the edges of the selection to be smooth. And after doing that, you left click and hold down and you draw over the skin just like that. You hover just like that. Then come right at filter and come back to blur and come to Gaussian blur. Remember, we are still selected on the low frequency layer because we are still working on the skin tones and creating those nice and smooth transitions within the skin color. So after coming to Gaussian blur, it's going to bring back the original or initial blur radius for the image that we had at the start of the video. So just come and start taking up the radius up to a point when you're having a nice transition within the skin color, and stop right there when you're having better results. So the trick you can use, multiply the radius that you had initial for your frequency separation by 3 and type in that value. So mine was 7, so 7 by 3 is 21. I'll just come and type in 21. So So I'll just delete this, and I'll just come and type in 21 just like that, and you can see I'll hit OK, and I'll just come and apply this right in these areas just like that. Come to filter and come to blur and come to Gaussian blur and hit OK just like that, and you can see this is going to perfect the areas we may have missed out when we are using our mixer brush tool. You can see this looks better and it looks great. So in this case, basically we're just perfecting the areas that we may have missed out as we are using our mixer brush tool. So don't apply it on the nose area. So when it comes to the nose area, only apply it on one area or the darkest areas, and don't apply it to the brightest area of the nose, and don't select the whole nose as a whole, because that is going to make the nose look flat. So you can see before and after for using our frequency separation. So you can see that we still have pimples or blemishes. Remember, blemishes are part of skin textures. Just come and select the layer that is containing the textures or the blemishes, which is the texture layer or the high frequency layer, and simply come and get the clone stamp tool right here. So when you come and select the texture layer right here, we are now going to come and remove the blemishes using the clone stamp tool. So select the clone stamp tool, or you can press S on the keyboard, that is a shortcut. S is going to select the clone stamp tool, and as usual set the clone stamp tool. So mine, the hardness is going to be at 0%, with the mode of normal opacity at 100% and the flow at 100%. Make sure align is selected and the sample is set to current layer, because you just want to deal with the details which is part of the high frequency layer or the current layer. You're now going to zoom into the image by using Ctrl plus on the keyboard, or you can use Command plus on the keyboard. And in order to remove a blemish, if at all the clone stamp tool is showing a plus icon, press the caps lock key on the keyboard. So in order to remove a blemish, make sure the size of the clone stamp tool is slightly bigger than the blemish that you want to remove. So how it is going to work, we copy clean skin and stamp it over the blemish to replace the blemish with clean skin. So you have to copy from an area that is clean near the blemish. So you hold down the Option key if at all using Mac. Then for Windows, hold down the alternate key on the keyboard. Then left click on a clean area near the pimple or the blemish that you want to remove, and simply release the alternate key and the left click button, and simply once again left click over the blemish, and that is going to replace the blemish with a clean skin, and hence removing the blemish from that image. So that is what we're going to be doing, and you can see that this is going to be working or doing the magic for us. So always take your time as you're removing, because blemish removal is going to contribute over 60% to the overall retouching process or editing process for your beauty photos. So take your time as you're removing these blemishes, and you don't want to remove or miss out some blemishes. So for these lines, I simply sample and drag my clone stamp tool, and you can remove those lines or even fly away hairs from your photos. So I'm just going to be doing this and cleaning this up. So you have to zoom in and zoom out and look for those areas that we may not have cleaned up or removed the blemishes from. So I'm just going to do this and take my time while doing this, because I don't want you to see the imperfections after we have been able to post on social media or print out a large file. So I'm just going to remove these blemishes. Take your time, and like I said, practice is going to make you a faster editor, or when you always practice, you're going to be getting faster results when it comes to editing using Photoshop and frequency separation in general. So practice leads to speed and perfection. So do this, and if at all you're watching and you haven't hit the like button or subscribed at this first step, simply do that, because it's going to help the channel grow and also motivate the content creator in this case. So I'm just going to remove these blemishes just like that, and I'm just going to come to other areas and look for those blemishes and remove and clear out the skin imperfections or the blemishes. Like I said, always take your time with this first step, because it's going to determine the amount of how serious of or how crucial you are when it comes to detail analysis or imperfections. So take your time while trying to clean out or remove or clear these imperfections. You can see a nose area is having a lot of work to do. So we have to clean or clear out these imperfections and have the best results at the end of this very process. So I'll just come and get a slightly bigger clone stamp tool and remove these imperfections. So I'll just come and look for another area that I may have accidentally missed out. So just come to the other areas or even the hands and try to remove those scars and the rough edges from those areas. So I'll zoom out and look at the image at a distance. So this is what we have so far, and this is the before after. You can see the details are still left intact in this very image, and we have retouched or fine-tuned the skin. So after doing this, anything that we'd love to do, let's do a little bit of color grading and having uniform skin for this very model. So in order to do this, so just come right to adjustments and simply come to gradient map. So after coming to gradient map, you're just going to come and select the gradient icon, and you're going to hide the gradient map layer. So after selecting the icon, hide the gradient map layer, left click on the color option to open up the gradient editor. So this is going to represent the shadow area, and this is going to represent the highlights. So left click on the shadow pointer right there, then left click on the color option, click on the darkest point of the skin tone. So just click on the darkest point on what you feel should be the darkest point of the skin tone. Hit OK. Left click on the right one or the highlight color. Left click once again on the color option, and always make sure the sample is set to 5x5 average. Click on the brightest point of the skin tone. Come and hit OK. Then create one in the middle and make sure you type in 50 to set the location to 50%. And left click on the color option, click on what you feel should represent the midtones or the midtones of the skin tone. Come and hit OK, and now come back and hit OK once again. So click on the visibility icon to open up this once again. Change the blend mode from normal to color, and you can see that this is affecting the overall image. So what we have to do, we have to select the white layer mask right here and press Ctrl, or you can use Command I on the keyboard to invert or hide the effect. So Command I for Mac and Ctrl I for Windows. So just come and get the brush tool, the normal brush tool, and make sure the mode is set to normal and the hardness is set to 0% and soft round brush is selected with the opacity and the flat 100% right here. We're now going to paint using a white brush. So make sure you have black and red on these two color swatches, or you can press D on the keyboard to reset this. So to switch between black and red, you can use X on the keyboard. So having white as a foreground color is going to reveal the effect that was hidden behind this black mask. So I'm just going to come and paint just like that onto the skin. And you can see by just painting on the skin, you can see it is creating uniform skin tones for our model. So reduce on the size by using the bracket keys and even paint on the fingers. And you can see it is creating this kind of harmonious or even skin tones for our subjects right here. So I'm just going to paint on only a skin, just like that. And you can see this is going to create, like I said, even skin tone transitions. So keep away from painting on the hair or even other areas that you feel shouldn't have been painted on. So I'm only painting and making sure I'm painting on the skin. So for example, if at all you make a mistake and you didn't want to paint in given areas of the skin, this is what you have to do. Press X on the keyboard, and that is going to switch the brush back to black, and black is going to hide or erase the effect from the areas that you did not want to paint on or affect. So I'm just going to erase the effect from the eyes if at all I had accidentally painted on the eyes or even the hair. So right now we are done evening out the skin. You can see before, after. And if at all it is too much, always and always you can come to the opacity and reduce on the opacity of the color grading or the effect. So this is the before, after. The skin is now looking nice and even. So I'm just going to take this up a little bit to around 63. but now the skin is looking a little bit yellow. So just want to create that kind of melanin skin tone. So I'll just come right here and create a black and white adjustment layer. Change the blend mode from normal to multiply, and I'll simply come and reduce on the opacity to around 7 is fine. Then we're going to come and create a hue and saturation adjustment layer, and come and make sure we have selected the reds of the image, and come and simply take down the lightness a little bit, just like that. I think that looks okay. It looks great. Then you're going to come and add some contrast to the image by coming to brightness and contrast and simply taking up the contrast slider. Then I feel like the image is a little bit more on the warm side, so I'll just create one more hue and saturation adjustment layer and simply come to the yellows and desaturate that, and come to the master and simply slightly desaturate or take out the saturation of the image. Then create one more adjustment layer, which is the selective color, and come to the blacks right here and simply intensify the blacks of the image to around 3, and cool down the image slightly to around -3. And that looks great. And the next thing we're going to do, a little bit of eye whitening. So we're going to come to the adjustments, come to hue and saturation, come to the master, make sure master is selected, and desaturate the image all the way down to around -74. Press Ctrl I on the keyboard, and with the brush tool still selected, make sure white is the foreground color, opacity and the flat 100%. You can use Ctrl plus on the keyboard to zoom in, or you can use Command plus to zoom into the image. Reduce on the size by using the bracket keys, and only paint on the white area of the eye, just like that. We are going to be creating a whitening effect into the eyes, and we're going to be whitening the eyes. So if at all you make a mistake, switch the brush back to black, and you can erase like we did when we were trying to paint on the skin before. So zoom out and look at what we have right now, and let me show you a quick before and after for the retouching and color grading of this image. This is the before after. So next we just want to export the image so it doesn't change in color when we post it or print it out. So just come right here to file, export, and come to export as. So when you come to export as, it's going to open up the export as window. Make sure the file format is set to JPEG, and make sure quality is 100%. The resample has to be set to by cubic sharper, because we want a sharp photo after saving or exporting it or printing it out on social media. And always make sure that also the sample is set, or the color space is set to convert sRGB, and also embed color profile, and simply hit export or save the image in whatever location that you wanted to save the image. So this is it for this video, and if at all you have enjoyed this, simply like this video, and don't forget to subscribe if at all you have been watching and you're not subscribed to this channel. Ronnix from ronnixphotography. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in more videos on this channel. Don't forget to keep practicing and also keep creating.